One of my kind of one-liners, I suppose you could call it, is you can change your life just by changing your physiology in a moment. People think exercise has to be an hour of, high rocks or CrossFit or treadmill running, but you can literally change how you're feeling within 10 minutes just by shaking your bum.
This week we're talking to Kenny. Kenny has GX Fitness based in Morris Park at Pomedy, talking all things mental health and fitness. Thank you so much for coming in. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me. So my name is Kenny and I am a Glasgow-based personal trainer and I own GX Fitness just over in the south side in Morris Park.
So Kenny, tell us a wee bit about yourself and how you get into personal fitness and training.
So I suppose it all started back when I was about 18. I just went to the gym. It was just started out as a wee hobby. And I just went to one of the wee local gyms in Paulsall Park, which is where I'm from. I went for a couple of months and then I realised that I actually was quite interested in the anatomy and the physiology and how exercise, back then it wasn't really well known that the exercise was making you...
What year are we talking about, Kenny? This is quite
2008.
Important. Right, okay.
2008, so 15 years ago now. That's eye-opening. So back then it wasn't really recognised that exercise made you feel better, and I guess that's one of the things that I really loved about it. And then I applied to go to college. So I did my HNC and HND fitness, health and exercise.
Was that in Glasgow?
Yep, it was Clyde Glasgow College, I think. It was in the Gorbals. I think it's called City of Glasgow College now, but this was back in the day.
Is that, if I remember, it was an old was that the old nautical college?
Yes, that's what it was. That's what it was called. So I did my HNC and my HND there, and I absolutely loved it. It's a class full of boys. There was like 24, 25 boys, which wasn't too comfortable for me because I was always surrounded by girls, being a gay man. And from there, I managed to land a job in Bannatyne's Health Club in Steps. So that's where my kind of career started.
What made you get into fitness in the first instance?
I think, reflecting back, I think I was growing up, it was a bit of a tough time growing up in a scheme, surrounded by addiction, and not just from family, but from basically everywhere you looked, there was always addicts there. I started to see people who I was friends with become addicts. So that kind of encouraged me to turn my back to that. And
You come to that kind of, when you come for a Glasgow, you reference the word there, scheme. For him that's not for Glasgow, the West of Scotland, that's a housing estate.
A very lovely housing estate.
Glasgow housing estate, we call them schemes. I think we've all got that bit in our life where you come to that kind of crossroads and you look and go, do I want to get an education? Do I want to get a job? Or do I want to sell drugs?
Yeah. It's always the fear, and I think that was the main driver for me, was to either participate in it and take that route, which so many have done, unfortunately, or I choose to do better for myself, and I chose to do better for myself, and I've never looked back.
Was it that simple a choice?
No.
So what age were you then back in 2008?
I would have been 18.
18. So it was quite almost conscriptive, being that age, 18, coming for a scheme, and you're frowned upon for not doing drugs.
Yeah.
Or when that was my age, it was buzzing glue and doing gas.
Sounds like a good time.
It was. When I was 18 in 1988. So it's before the whole drug culture kicked in.
Before I was born.
Right, okay.
So when I said to you it wasn't a straightforward choice, what made it?
Oh God. Trying to think if there was like a pinnacle moment or a pinnacle time. I think going before the time of fitness, when I was in school, from first year to fourth year, I was terrible. I had a terrible attitude to school. I had a terrible attitude towards my teacher. I was drinking in school. There was just a lot of, I had a really strong friendship group, but with the only relationship was really socialising with alcohol and partying and going out at the weekends. So when I got to fourth year, I'd spent most of the years on behaviour cards and being suspended. When I got to fourth year, I remember saying to myself, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing? I could see that trajectory of, going the wrong route. So when I hit fourth year, I thought I could either leave and go and get a job, a dead end job, as I would call it, and just work there for the rest of my days, or I can really make the decision to do better for myself.
It's a kind of significant thing for you to actually do and decide at that point. Was there any contributing factors to that?
I think, with no disrespect to my home life, most of my family are unemployed. So most of them didn't really want to get a job. They enjoyed that kind of lifestyle of just doing what they want to do and chilling out most days, which really wasn't for me. So that kind of, again, it was another driving factor to move away from the
scheme mentality.
The scheme mentality. That's exactly it. Yep, that's exactly it.
I think I've got relatives who are proud of the fact that they know how to work the system.
Yes, yep.
They know what benefits they can get. They know what houses they can get for nothing. They know that if I'm his carer and she's his carer, then it's...
But as much as you can sit there and say, like, these people are making these decisions, there's factors that have led them to that way of thinking, that behaviour, and the environment that you're in, the environment that you thrive in is also the environment that you strive in as well.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very difficult, and for you to actually make that decision outside of all the the influences of your family and friends, it must have taken some amount of courage for you to actually stand up and say, I don't want to be like this, I want to be something different. And where did that courage come from?
I honestly have no idea. I really have no idea. Myself and my cousin, we were brought up together in the same house, and we were like brothers growing up, and the both of us are at opposite ends. He's got a great wee job and he's happy and he works Monday to Friday and makes a nice living, but we are so opposite now in terms of attitude to life and how we relate to people and the behaviours and the character. But we literally were dressed the same growing up by my gran.
Yep.
But we're so opposite, and even still to this day, I'm still challenged to the decisions that I make. Like when I chose to go self-employed just during lockdown, I got pushed back and told, no, stick with Pure Gym. You've got a set salary. You're throwing away your life. You're throwing away your career. But from people who hadn't really worked.
Yeah, so giving you advice, but they didn't apply the advice to themselves, maybe.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's taking that kind of chance, that unknown. That must have been a bit of a like you says, if you've got a regular income, not saying it's a Monday 9 to 5 job, but it's as good as when you're working. What made you jump over the edge and go, I want to do this myself? I take it's not because anybody that goes self-employed at the start, it's definitely not money driven.
Especially during lockdown.
No.
You're trying to do groups of things. It was the excitement of doing something on my own and just thinking, fuck it. Let's see what happens. I'll be able to, Pure Gym were amazing. I had a great time working with them. They gave me so much challenge and they promoted me so much. I got a national group fitness trainer, which I got to travel all around the UK to do group fitness, which is what I love. But there was just always something in the back of my mind that was thinking, I'm destined for something greater than this. I can feel it. So when we got told the gyms were opening that day, I'll never forget, I just emailed my regional manager and says, look, really sorry, but this is my 30 days notice. And I had annual leave to take and we weren't opening until the 21st of September. So it meant that I had just a full month of working away at my business just to see what the next steps were.
Did you have premises and like logos all in the back of the head going, well, if I move here and I get this kind of logo and I get this, was that always in the back of your head?
No.
For the last 30 days, or you just go, I'm out here?
So the April that year, so April 2020, I'd had a bottle of wine and I came up with, so group exercise has always been my passion because I do love groups of people. And
can you explain to me and the rest of the people that's watching and listening what group exercise actually is?
Group exercise could be anything from legs, bums and tums to CrossFit, your high rocks, anything that involves a group of people moving, with the kind of one idea in mind that they're all moving to get themselves to a better position or moving better or feeling better. That's group exercise or group fitness. But it was like the 4th of April. It's such a pinnacle moment because it was just an overnight decision. Me and my partner James, we were on Canva. It's one of these apps you can use to design stuff. And we came up with the Group X Guy because that was 6 months before I had GX Fitness. And then from there I just started rolling with it. I came up with, so I had the Group X Guy and then I had my virtual sessions. So this was all online. I'd only ran it for a couple of weeks because I thought I'll be back to Pure Gym. This COVID thing isn't going to be a big deal. But then as time went on, it started to get a bit more serious. So I branded that as GX Virtual. So that was Zoom from my living room. I had like 100 people every week turning up and just, having a great time. I ruined the house floors because I was sweating so much for doing the classes, but it's been worth it. And then once we were allowed out, I think this was maybe like July time, I then came up with GX Camp, which was my boot camp. And again, that was a Tuesday night and a Saturday morning. I had 30 people turning up to every session.
Where were you doing that?
Just over in Glasgow Green.
Glasgow Green?
Yeah.
Outside?
Outside. All outside for 6 months.
That's right, because it was a bit mental when people came out of lockdown, because I still remember going for walks. And in fact, I remember going for a walk in Queen's Park and watching a karate class on the bowling green. On the bowling green.
Oh my God.
On the bowling green, watching a karate class.
It was a surreal time in so many ways, wasn't it?
I used to
people did get creative. Like
I used to have 30 people and I would have them in groups of 6, but I would have to have them 6 foot apart. And they would all have their own sprays and they would have the option to wear gloves, because if they were using kit, there was that risk of spreading the infection. So when you think, even being outdoors, how extreme that was.
And that sounds so when you think about it now, if you were to say further down the line to people, we had to do this back in that year ago.
Well, you're going to have to explain that to your granddaughter, and she's going to look at you and think, Papa, is that true? Yeah.
I was walking into the city centre yesterday and I seen there's stamps just at the end of Glasgow Green. There's stamps on the floor that say, keep apart.
Yeah.
And I think, oh God, how awful that was. But so great for me.
One-way systems on Morrison's and Tesco.
Oh yeah. And the green lights to get in and out.
So getting back to, obviously I want to talk to you about fitness and mental health and the benefits of it, because that's really important to me. I'd really like to tell you to give us an idea about why engaging in fitness is so good for you from a mental health perspective. What you think the benefits are.
My one of my kind of one-liners, I suppose you could call it, is you can change your life just by changing your physiology in a moment. And it could literally be anything from 7 minutes of movement in the morning. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be yoga or just something that gets your physiology changing from where you were to then where you're at after that piece of movement. And I think I've spread that message so strongly across the last few years of having my own business that I think it resonates with people in many ways, because people think exercise has to be an hour of, high rocks or CrossFit or treadmill running, but you can literally change how you're feeling within 10 minutes just by shaking your bum.
Yeah.
Putting a bit of Taylor Swift on and getting moving. It's one of my favourite songs. Gets people going.
So when you say changing your physiology, changes your mood, changes the way you feel about yourself.
Yep. And that could change your whole day.
Okay. And what is that doing to your body when you're doing that?
So you're increasing feel-good hormones, you're increasing blood flow to the brain, you're increasing the heart rate, the lungs, just everything. I think when you move, you're bringing everything to life that wouldn't necessarily come to life if you just got up in the morning, went to work, and then came home from work. It completely changes you from the inside out.
That would change my mentality for the full day.
I challenge you to do that every day for a month and see how you're feeling.
I'll rephrase that to 3 minutes then.
Give yourself 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes.
Accepting the challenge.
I'm accepting that challenge.
Every day for a month. And what to do before, I think what to do before for a few days is do maybe like a check-in with yourself, go internal and do a check-in and ask yourself how you're feeling in the morning.
Right. We've got two sides. We've got the brains here, and I'm not still know the beauty, but what do you mean by a check-in?
So when you get up in the morning, there's always how you're feeling physically. First you could feel quite stiff. Joints are probably stiffer than what they should be, the muscles, the fascia. But then there's
me in the morning.
Yeah.
Total stuff.
And then there's the mental side of things. So sometimes when you wake up, you might be feeling a bit grumpy because you've had a crappy sleep. Maybe there's things that have impacted you the day before, which you sometimes carry into the next day.
What people don't see is Roz nodding her head, giving it. She's just
Roz knows.
Yes,
Roz knows. So they're probably the two most important factors I would say to take into account before you start your challenge. How you're feeling physically, and then what's going on mentally.
So would that just put that on a piece of paper? How I feel this morning.
Put it on a piece of paper,
right?
And then put it on there, and then maybe after like a week, compare it after you've started your movement. And see what's changed for you.
I think you're completely correct in what you say when it comes to. I wasn't saying I was struggling over the last couple of months. I made a conscious decision to get back in and do something, and I went back to martial arts. And after the first time I went back in, your mind goes, I got to a decent level when I was younger. Your mind goes there, but your body slaps you about. But after my first class, I went, I feel sore, but that sore's good.
Yeah, it's a good sore.
And that buzz to get back in, it's almost a countdown until next week, because I want to improve in my fitness, my suppleness, and more important, like you says, it's that mental well-being.
They feel good. They feel good.
You come out battered and blue, but buzzing.
Yeah.
And it's certainly something that in my counselling room, clients come in, and the thing I always talk to them about, the three things that I talk to them about is sleep, nutrition and exercise. Before we go into it, how's your sleep, how's your nutrition, and how's your exercise? And if any of those three aren't good, then we need to start there before we start anything else,
They all come hand in hand.
They do come hand in hand.
With the overall well-being, as you talk about, Ros, the well-being that's the three things I talk about as well. Sleep's probably one of the most important, because that's your regeneration, your recovery, and nutrition, and then the movement. Three most important.
But as you get older, sleep becomes a bit more of a challenge. If you're like going through the menopause, which I've been going through, your sleep pattern's disrupted, so you're affected by that. When you're younger, there's so much you can do without sleep. When I look at the age of my kids and what they can do without little sleep is quite something. But sleep is so important. But getting yourself motivated to get there in the first instance. And then I wanted to talk to you about accountability. Do you think that that's an important part of maintaining your fitness and your emotional well-being?
Having somebody that, I think there's coaches that are like, can be quite harsh, we'll put it that way, kind of boot campy style. But I think getting to know the people that are coming into your space or coming into you as a client is important, because not everybody should be treated the same way. I feel like everybody is so individual, and everybody should have an individual approach, which is what I love about the space that we have. I know everything about everybody in my gym. We're closing in on 100 members, which I'm so proud of.
That's amazing.
But I know everything about everybody, and I'll have a specific way to speak to people or to relate to people depending on what they need. And it's that level of accountability. Sometimes I will chase people. If I see people being lazy,
you're either going to kick their arse or put your hand around their shoulder.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And if they come in and you can tell them, it's that quick, right, let's go, or do you really want to do this today? Is there something else?
And I think that's what encourages people, is that level of understanding, because there are some people who need the shouty bit. There are some people that just need the empathetic bit, and there are some people that just need that constant, like, kind of, come on, you can do reassurance. And I think, the fact that you're able to do that, but that's quite unique to you, and it's not necessarily what everybody would experience in a gym. So I guess we kind of have to manage that as well, because there'll be people who go to a gym and they don't have that experience,
which is a shame.
Do you think there's a move away from your faceless, for want of a better word, gyms where you go in with your keypad, and you get weighed in as you're going in, you do that wee circle and you go back out again?
If you're gymming the pods.
2 people try to sneak in. And is there a drive towards your, because I keep seeing things pop up, it's almost like small units. I used to train in one down at south side of Glasgow. It's like almost like an old garage, where it's more personal. Where you walk in and Craig would say, "How's Lisa? How's the dogs?"
I think after lockdown, the industry has changed massively, because we spent so much time being restricted and pulled apart that people are craving that connection and being part of something much bigger than just themselves. So I think if you find a community, Morris Park, just as an example where I am, I was gym number 7 when they opened. It was 4 years ago to this month, and there's now 21 gyms in there. There's 21 gyms in there, and everybody is thriving. Everybody has their own USP. There's no rivalry. It's a really, really lovely place, and I feel like that's what I'm seeing all over Glasgow, as you've just said there, Paul. I think the industry, there's still people that will love to go to the pure gyms and all the other places like that, but I think more and more people are now seeking more community-based gyms where they have staff and coaches that really do care, and they put in that wee bit of extra TLC.
Do you tackle mental well-being in your gym?
I think I probably do it, but I don't realise that I do it. I feel like it's brought up more often than not, and maybe the last year that I've helped people with their mental health and helped them in crisis when I didn't even realise that they were.
But that's not as you as a person. Obviously, you said that for early on. That's I think that's a person thing. That's not.
Yeah.
You seem like a good guy to me.
He is a good guy, but I guess if I'm thinking about people listening to this podcast who don't have maybe a Kenny in their lives or a gym like yours in their life, how they can help themselves to get to that point where, you know, moving and working out and motivating themselves. Because when somebody's very depressed, everything in their being saying don't do it, everything they're being saying lying on the couch, and it's very, very difficult because they're unwell to then find the strength and the courage to go to a gym and start exercising. So what kind of things could you know, I know you've just said that the seven minutes of exercise. Is there anything else that you think would be helpful for somebody who's maybe in that position where they're needing to do something but they just don't feel well enough to do it?
I think maybe doing a bit of research, or, you know, asking friends and finding something that they feel that they could enjoy. It doesn't have to be, you know, it could be something slightly different to exercise. It could be maybe looking at just breathing. I think for most people it's finding something that they'll enjoy. I think it's finding something that maybe they could go to with a friend. But definitely research or asking friends is probably one of the best ways that they could go down that route to getting into doing something. Doesn't necessarily have to be a gym.
Because one of the other things that you're doing as well is yoga, and I kind of wondered, how does yoga tie in with the gym? Because obviously it's quite a different movement to gym work.
So the gym work is, for me yoga is about relaxing, allowing your body to regenerate and just reset from all the work that we do in the gym, because some of the stuff can be quite intense. We lift loads of weights. The sessions can be quite challenging for most people. So I decided, because I loved yoga, I started doing yoga 3-4 years ago. And because I loved what it was doing for my body and my head, I decided to do the training so that then I could give. So I always say, like, if I feel something in my belly and I can make people feel that in front of me, then that's my passion, and that's what I'm going to do. So I decided to bring that in to hopefully give people a wee side of me that they don't necessarily see. It helped me slow down. I couldn't sit still for more than maybe 10 minutes. I've seen videos of me doing yoga outside with some friends and stuff before I did yoga, and I would be sitting with my eyes closed. They're recording it in time lapse, and I'm like this, looking about, looking up, looking down, and I can see my thoughts racing. But through the practice of yoga and just, you know, being still and being okay with that, it has probably transformed me as a person and as a coach, which then allows me to transform the whole experience that I can offer as a coach in GX Fitness.
Do you think that would be a good starting point for somebody maybe who's not done any exercise?
Yes, I would say so, because it allows them to have a mind-body connection, but also mind to breath. So they get to move. They can do it at home. You've got all the follow-along stuff. You can go on Instagram, you can go on YouTube, TikTok. Every single social media app now has something that you can get for free, and you don't even have to leave the house.
One of my friends is just back from Japan, and they said the amount of outdoor activity, obviously a different climate, especially Tai Chi and yoga, for the elderly is unbelievable. As was, once again, we'll go back to the West of Scotland thing. It's once you get to 60, you get yourself a bowler, a hat, and you go and play bowls.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like a quick half at each end. As we're over there, they're out on the market squares doing yoga, and they're doing Tai Chi. And like I said, I've practiced martial arts. I've looked at Tai Chi, and it's just slowed down karate movements, kung fu movements with the breathing. And that's just what you just cracked on there about your breathing.
Yeah. It's a massive thing. And I think that's what we battle against a lot of the fitness industry for Scotland, is that mindset of you get to a certain age and that's you. And a lot of people I know certainly have, they hit 40 and they think, that's it. I'm going to retire.
Well, I certainly thought when I first approached you, like, gosh, I'm too old to start all this stuff now. But actually it's been life-changing for me, doing the exercising and changing the way I think about it. Actually changing the way I think about it. Because I used to hate the thought of the gym or doing any gym work, or Oh, it was like I would have the gym card as an accessory in my purse. Like a lot of people, I was a member of a gym, but it was literally an accessory that I never used.
I'm in Bannatynes, but I just use the sauna kind of thing.
Yeah. It was like fake gym stuff, and so. And I used to sit in front of clients and ask them about, their exercise. And I was sitting there going, you're such a hypocrite because you're not doing anything. And I was like, I can't do that anymore.
But why didn't you?
Because it all went back to childhood when I was called, I was told I was fat and I had a big bottom and I was unfit and I wasn't sporty. These were all things that I heard. And so I told myself that I wasn't capable of doing things. And after I'd been and done some work on that, I then had the courage to say to Kenny, look, I'd really like some help with this.
How many people cross your door? Have you heard that story from Kenny?
Loads. Probably most of my members, to be fair. I feel like most people get told these, but again, I think it's other people's beliefs and values. Yeah. They try and instill them on you because they don't really understand it. So therefore they tell that person, you've got a big bum or blah, blah, rather than trying to reinforce that they're going to be doing something really positive for themselves, but not just in the moment, it's the future.
So how would you handle that? I mean, I come to you and I go like, listen, Matt, I've got low self-esteem. I don't think I can do that. I'm still suffering from long COVID. I've got a fat belly and I've not got the time for 3-hour workouts a week. How would you tackle me?
I'd tell you to come for a 7-day free trial. You can see what it's all about.
I thought you'd say get your 5 minutes done in the morning. Then come back to me.
In the morning. I suppose it would be working out. Yeah, that's obviously like a
lifestyle choice.
Things, yeah. It's working on one thing at a time for people. It's because people do always have these things that are wrong with them, and it's finding the one that's challenging them the most, and then working on that. And that would be. I'll sometimes say to people they'll want to, fix something that they've maybe had for 4 years and they want it in 6 weeks. And it's that impatience. It's like you have to be patient with yourself and literally focus on one thing at a time.
That's brilliant advice, Kenny.
Once you've achieved that,
move on to the next. It's fun. I love these podcasts we do because everyone appeals a wee bit. So there's something in me or something in Roz. And I've seen Roz go, oh yeah,
makes
light.
Well,
that light bulb switched on you, but she won't see it. And I'm the difference. I'm going, yes, and I am impatient. I want that body. I want that six pack.
Yeah.
The mind's giving it, but the body's going, don't be so stupid. I need to start slowly,
and honestly be patient with yourself and be kind with yourself as well. There's I've had a few guys join my gym recently, and they call it the muffin tops, big bellies, the beer bellies, and they're like, when is this going to go? When will I lose this? And I'm like, you need to be patient. But also the one part that you want to change about yourself is the one part that you're so focused on and fixated on. So 9 times out of 10, it's the last thing to change.
I'm going to throw something out here and it's all over the news and people do want a quick fix, right? What are these pens? The quick here. I'm going to take this.
Ozempic.
That's what I was looking for.
So I turn away from stuff like that. I don't know too much about them because I know that I'm against them, but I think these quick fixes for people don't change what's going on in their head. Sadly, I know people who have had operations to get parts of their stomachs moved, but I still say, it sounds really rude, but I still say they're greeding the heat because nothing's changed up here. They still have the same habits, they still have the same desires, they still have the same wants to eat the foods, and they'll get it, they'll get the foods, they'll get the calories by any means. And I've heard stories of people like blending curries and drinking it. This is like genuine. One of my clients is a consultant and he told me this story. The guy lost like 11 stone after the operation and then gained 9.
Is that like with the
gained 9,
gained 9 stone.
11 and gained 9?
Yeah.
You get the balloon of the stomach stapled as such.
Yep.
And
they're
still drinking it.
Like, for me, it's like you take an alcoholic and put them in rehab, okay? And
the first thing you take them out is take them for a drink once they say well done.
They get into rehab and for 6 weeks they're away from alcohol. And then you take them out of rehab and put them back into the environment they're in and nothing's changed in their environment and they start drinking again. You have to be able to change
your environment.
And that is also the environment that's in your head as well. So if you're not going to do the work in your head, quick fixes are only going to be a fix for a short period of time. They're not a sustainable period of time.
Then what they do is they'll just struggle because they've had an operation, so they'll struggle for the rest of their life, which is really sad. struggle. There was one person in particular I know, they got the operation maybe 2 years ago, and they've lost like 12 stone, so done amazingly.
That's a lot of weight.
That's a whole person.
Started to gain weight, and then there was, I cannot remember the name of it, but there was something else. It was like a stomach. I can't remember the name yet. But basically, they were drinking water for 4 days, and then promoting it on social media and saying, I've lost my weight again, and I'm like, you're damaging yourself so much. I can't get my head around it, because I just think it's not the correct way to go about any sort of physical or mental change.
The other side of I'm going to flip the conversation a wee bit here, just talking about it, is the addictive nature of exercise. Working with people with eating disorders, for example, can be very addicted to the exercise because it takes the weight off and it changes the shape. But also, I've also noticed there's a lot of people who get quite addicted to their exercise, and there's consequences of that.
There's a guilt look in this face there.
That would be me.
How did you, I mean, I know that was something that you and I have talked about before, and not necessarily recognising that that's what it is. What's your experience?
Well, I started CrossFit last year, and I fell in love with it. But I fell in love with it and it became an obsession.
Back to the
CrossFit.
What is CrossFit?
So CrossFit is, again, it's like group exercise, but there's like Olympic lifting, there's...
and this is the one you see the big competitions in America. And
the gymnastic stuff, yeah. There's loads of ways of training within it that I love, because it brought me a new sense of challenge within fitness. But I went from doing 3 to then doing 4 to then doing 5.
Was that classes or hours?
5 hours a week, and the classes are very, very, very intense. But I didn't see where I was going for the first 5 months. And then January this year, I went to London and Paris, and I came back and I had a blood clot in my chest. And I think that was my body's way of saying,
back off,
slow down, back off. And I have. It was eye opening, because I thought, God, I really, really was pushing it. I was pushing it to the extremes most days, and it wasn't until then that I realised, shit.
What made you push yourself with it? Is it because it was something new, or did you change your body, or did you like the way your body was going?
It was all the new skills that I was learning. How fit I felt.
Thirst for knowledge, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was just everything. But I took it all on board and did not take any time to slow down. And I was still, I had loads of plans for the gym at the time, so I had loads of that going on, some stuff going on personally, and then I was so focused. If I didn't get my workout, I would move things about in my life to make sure I got to the gym. If I didn't go, I would be in a bad mood.
Yep.
Which is the complete opposite for what we've just spoke about. But because I was so in it, and I was like, no, this is, I'm working, I want to compete, I want to do this, I want to do that, it became my priority.
But you possibly see that with the guys, not saying bodybuilders, but the Mr. Universe competitions, where everything's toned and they go in that funny orange colour. Those guys are obsessed, absolutely obsessed.
Robots,
yeah.
I think though that the problem is, so exercise is good for you,
but too much.
But when you're taking it to the extremes like Kenny's talking about, it's very difficult for somebody actually to think that they're doing something wrong because exercise is good for you.
Yeah.
But actually, my experience in working with clients who've used exercise as their soothing technique, rather than dealing with their feelings, they'll just focus on exercise. Kenny loves me being his client. Like, Kenny,
free mental health advice
every Thursday. Every Thursday, guys.
But it was interesting because I was seeing this in you, and this behaviour was happening in you, and I was like, this guy is becoming obsessed with this. This has become addictive. You've got an addictive nature.
Yep.
And it was really hard for you to see that we were saying, like, are you thinking this? You think this is a good thing?
I remember the first day you asked me, and I got my back up, and I was like, I know what I'm doing, Ross.
I know.
And you were like, no, you don't. Sit down.
But you and I have had that conversation. We've got that kind of relationship where we can do that. But there'll be lots of people who don't actually realise that they're using exercise to avoid their feelings, to avoid dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just the same as going out and tanning 3 bottles of wine at the weekend. It's that. And so I guess it's like, what are the signs? Because you as a personal trainer, a gym owner, coaching people, didn't actually recognise it in yourself until you were actually physically stopped in your tracks.
I know, that's true. I suppose it's, if you can, is taking a step back and seeing how much time and effort you're giving to, you know, that piece of training or that exercise that you're doing, and then seeing what else is going on in your life. Because that, for me, that was my only focus every week, aside from the business and everything else. That was a huge, you know, thinking back, it was about a year ago to this date, thinking back of how severe, how much I thought I loved it, but actually I was totally addicted to it. But it's maybe being able to take a step outside and look at how you're feeling mentally and physically, because I was shattered. I was shattered every day.
So although you're preaching one thing,
there's also the other. But it's like anything in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's everything in moderation.
But so I suppose that you're lucky to have clients that have given it to you. Come here, I want to work with you. Do you really know what you're doing?
She grabs me the ear, don't you?
But, you know, I think it's difficult. I mean, my concern is that you were stopped in your track physically because of the blood clot. Had that not happened, it probably would have taken you a wee bit longer to get there. And I probably would have been a lot stronger with the things that I was speaking to you about, to be honest.
I love you, Mum.
I love you, but you need to stop this. And I think other people, you know, I can see other people who have got that behaviour in them as well, where they take things to the extreme. And I think the thing about it is being curious about yourself. Like, why am I behaving like that? What is it that's driving me? You know, you can be, for example, you can be obsessed with the dogs and the dog shows, right? And you're doing that. And sometimes I think, is that because it's your way of coping with the stuff that's maybe going on at work, or the stresses that you've been under recently with all the other stuff that you've got?
Personally, I think it's a complete flip for my day job. And I am. You're possibly correct in what you say. It is my get out. It's taking me away from construction, in the same way as music has been my get to.
Yeah.
And I understand, and sometimes, how do I put this? It's good to get that complete opposite for your life. And this, I work in a scaffolding. At the weekends, I have a couple of gigs DJing, but also show dogs. It's like three complete polar opposites.
These different personalities.
I've got tons of them, don't worry about it. Absolute tons of them.
If I had to challenge you on that, you know, that a lot of that, you became quite like you were doing so much gigging with the DJing and the dog shows, that sometimes I used to think, gosh, when are you actually getting time just for you? Because you were always on, and I know that the DJing is...
My DJing is me. It's like Kenny said.
You're doing it to the extreme where you were doing 2 nights out every... What I'm trying to get you to say is, when you get to the point where you feel like you're doing more than you probably should, that's good for you.
Yes,
the balance wasn't there.
We made a decision in-house. I got offered another gig on a Friday night, so to free up my Saturday night, and I consulted with my pal, and my pal says, yes, I'd rather you did the Friday night than the Saturday night. So I did make that decision. I did take a step back, and I'm now looking at just pittering out if things don't go my way shortly, because I enjoy it. I enjoy, like yourself, I enjoy people dancing to my music, foot tapping, going that. And if you can enjoy people giving it, yes, let's go, it's the same thing.
Exactly. So it's that curiosity, like, you know, why am I doing it so much? Is there a reason? Is this working okay? Is this healthy for me?
Do I want to please people?
Yeah. There's maybe something like that. So
we've had this story before. Yes, I do want to please. And it's that, but you want to make people happy. Because possibly it's something that's lacked in your previous life.
Yeah. I think for me, like, what I loved about CrossFit was being seen, because I was so new to it, but I was also very good at it. I became very good at it within a couple of weeks, and I think that recognition of being good.
So that external validation was...
Something just clicked there, Roz. Yeah. My cogs were ticking there, and it was that almost being at the advanced level within like 4 weeks. But then that took it to the extremes. I was doing too much too soon. The skills that I was learning was... probably my body wasn't ready for it, but I was doing it anyway. And that's where the injuries came from.
And I think, you know, what I would be saying to people, if they're interested in the finding that they're exercising, you know, every single day of the week, or, you know, more than what would be a recommended amount of exercise, Kenny? I don't know.
How would you start? Would you just like go for a walk around the block?
Go a walk around the block would be perfect. Maybe do 15 minutes walk and then 15 minutes back, and then that's half an hour. Do that 2 or 3 times.
I made that mistake once, right? Somebody says go for a 30-minute walk, so I walked 30 minutes and realised I had to walk 30 minutes back. You know what I mean?
People always say go half an hour walk, and I think you tricky. I always say go 15 minutes, especially if they're so new, because if they walk, they take your word. You know, you're a fitness professional. You tell them to walk for half an hour, they've got a half an hour to walk back, and you know, if they're at a base level of fitness, that's, you know, it's off-putting for them, and they'll lose trust. I think say to people, walk 15 minutes back, and then you've walked half an hour, and they go, oh, it's quite great. 4,000 steps.
4,000 steps a day.
No, that's maybe in like half an hour.
Oh, half an hour, right? Okay, sorry.
10,000 steps a day minimum. And that's the other thing nowadays. When you've got, you know, they recommend 10,000 steps a day minimum. And I've seen me go out myself and Lisa go out the dogs and walk, and you just out of habit now. How many steps are done, and you've done your 10,000 steps by 10:30. Oh, wow. You feel champion.
You do.
You really do. You're like, I've done it for the day. Sit on the couch and watch EastEnders for the rest of the week. You know what I mean?
It is a great way, I think, for people who don't want to go to the gym and aren't bothered, but they're interested in still, you know, keeping relatively fit. I think the 10,000 steps a day is amazing. But I think was it Fitbit that came up with that? Was it somebody? It was a watch company that came up with it, and it just blew up all over the world. So it's done so well. My mum, she's not into fitness and health, but she tries to get between 6,000 and 8,000 steps a day, and that's great for her because she's a couch totty, and she don't mind me saying that.
But you know, it's interesting because of my job sedentary. You know, I sit and then sometimes I can look at my step count, and I've done like 1,000 steps because I've literally I've gone from my chair to my desk to, because I don't move other than sit and talk to people all day. So that was a real shocker for me. I was like, I've only done 1,000. I'm supposed to be doing 10,000 a day. This is like really bad. So,
and you need to take off the pressure as well, because it's lifestyle as well. What do you do round about, you know, those days? Because you need to work. Yeah, you know, you've got bills to pay and a life to live. But it's that there's language, I think, in everything, and I try and be as inclusive with my language in the gym as much as I can, because there's a lot of negative language around about it. Like when you're saying, "Oh, that's really bad because I haven't got my 10,000 steps." That mentally is quite annoying, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It would. You just touched on something there, Roz. I'm the same. I'm desk bound, as we like to say.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us are, and so many people working from home now who don't actually leave their homes. You know, they're just stuck in their house, going from their bed to their desk.
I made a conscious choice now. Whenever I need to go to Greg's, I don't take the car.
And you get the low calorie options.
That was a joke.
Vegan sausage rolls.
I now walk to Greg's instead of taking the car.
But so many people are stuck now, you know. I think that's it's affected people's mental health, obviously the whole working from home thing, but you know, also physically. But one of the things I noticed in COVID was we all went out a walk every day.
You did.
Because we were given that. Because we
told I'll also be told this is all you can do. I might as well exploit it.
1 hour a day.
1 hour a day.
And see, you wanted to do it. And
this is where I was lucky. This is where I was lucky. I had a dog, so I could take my dog a walk anytime.
Well, so for some of us, we're like, right, it's my turn to go out a walk now, you know. But that was crazy.
That is a crazy time.
In some ways, that helped, I think, the fitness industry, because I would say things like Pure Gym and these, like you're talking about, these ones where you can 24/7. The youngsters have really bought into that. Young people really seem to like the idea that they can go to a gym at any time, day or night.
I think, I hate to say it, a lot of this has got to do with like your TikToks and your Instagrams.
Media,
I think so. I think there's
also a lot of misinformation out there.
Massively, and people following things that they don't really understand on TikTok. I've had like mums contacted me and asking me for advice on their teenage kids, because they're now on TikTok and they're following advice of influencers or, you know, people with kind of relatively large followings. And I'll ask them what to send me, and it is a pile of rubbish. And you think this is, you know, these people have got hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're giving information to these young kids who are believing in it.
You take these gummies and you'll really, really wake up a new base person. This NMM pill, I've taken this for 20 years. This is off my TikToks full of just now.
And they're all paid for it. That's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. It's really frightening.
Is that true saying, no pain, no gain? You know, you do have to do the work to get the results, don't you?
Aye.
There is no quick fix for it.
There's no quick fix. And I think I always say no pain, no gain, but as long as it's done right. Because you can do no pain, no gain, but if it's done incorrectly, then it's It's not going to work.
The word DOMS comes to mind.
DOMS.
What's DOMS?
Delayed onset muscle soreness. It's the soreness for the gym when you lift weights.
I remember went back to the gym after a long time away, middle of last year. Nice wee 5x5 I used to train. Right, so everything was fine. Squats, empty bar, Olympic bar, nice deep squats, 5 sets of 5. Next day, I was walking like John Wayne.
And that's laughing people say that.
And like you said, I said to myself, don't put any weights, just get a nice deep squat done. It won't be sore. And it kind of puts you off, but you're like that. What you're talking about, it's not soreness is away, back in. Because I know, because I have trained it, I know because once your body gets used to that, it's not sore anymore. But DOMS, especially when you're doing squats and
with good range.
Yep. Or if a lot of the boys I could go and play 5-a-sides. Did you stretch before? Did you do a warm up? No, I just went and played.
Sounds like me, Ross, did it? You stretch? Say that all the time.
Stretch and warmed it. The warm down, is it? No, it's not warm down. Cool down.
My son played for Queen's Park at 16, 17, so we did dad versus kids game. You know, I'll not be a quick game. I'll know it's okay. I'll just go and play football, shorts, t-shirt. I thought a sniper hit me.
Like you say, Paul, your body slaps you in the face.
Oh, it was the back of the legs.
The hamstrings.
Oh, the hamstring went. I'm going to have to get a medevac to here. Was this helicopter going to land? No, the dad's like, you're right. I'm fine. End up with crutches. But your body does slap you in the face because in your head you're thinking, I'm 18. And that big whack right across the back doing, you're 52, Paul, 54 now.
Yeah.
It's jumping back into where you used to be, but that's like.
But you said it there. You need to have the patience to go. Okay, I reached a level 7 last time. I want to get to level 10, but I now need to go back to level 1. And sometimes you don't have you really need to change your mindset. Is what you said. Change that and be patient.
I think a lot of it can be ego as well, because you've been there, you think you can just jump back into it. But it's taking that wee dent in the ego and just saying, do you know what? I want this for longevity. I'm not going to go back in at a 7. I'm going to go in at a 1 and just be patient.
And you think to yourself, when I was 18, 19, when I was training karate, I was doing front splits, side splits. And I'm like, I can't even touch my toes. And that's me sitting down, I can't touch my toes. But you're in that.
And you could touch your toes.
You just walk right down.
Well, do you know what? You can get there again.
I've joined the yoga class. Yeah,
join his yoga class.
There you go, Thursday night, Saturday morning.
What advice would you give people to stay motivated, to help them stay motivated?
So motivation...
Because that's one of the biggest challenges.
Motivation is a funny one, and I think if you rely on motivation all the time, I think you're setting yourself up for failure, because motivation will come and go. With anything in life, motivation comes and goes. The word that I have that drives me all year round is discipline. So that's my one buzzword that sticks to me. If there's a day that I can't be bothered, I'll say to myself, discipline.
I'll step back to my martial arts, and it's something we talk about. And what discipline do you do? It's once again, it's that bulb moment. What discipline do you do? Do you do judo? Do you do karate? Do you do kung fu?
Yeah.
And it's the word discipline. It's that, like you say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So
discipline.
What does discipline mean to you?
So discipline to me is getting something done when I don't particularly want to do it. And that's not just exercise. That's like anything that I need to do in life or business or anything. But also knowing that there are some days that I really don't have to. If it's been a particularly busy week or there's loads of stuff going on in life, if I'm feeling tired and I don't want to, I don't force myself to, which I used to do. But having the discipline at the very
sorry for jumping into this all the time. Why would you not force yourself if you know that's got to get done?
Because I think if you force yourself and you're tired and you're not at your best, I think you do a half-assed job.
Right, okay. You're going to
I think
you use the word there, setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Demotivate.
Demotivate. There you go.
Right on big words. Discipline and demotivate.
I'll give you the dictionary later.
But you're better off going in at your best.
Boy. We'll see with him, just a screen boy. He's north side, I was south side.
How's the boy? But you're better off going in at your best, I think, with things. And then it's like, although I'm really disciplined with myself, I'm now very disciplined with the recovery and rest that I take as well, because I feel night and day compared to this time last year.
What do you do for recovery?
Switch off.
See, I take dogs out walks and play music.
As long as it's not too much of that.
So my next steps for my kind of self-development is I need to for the last 3 years I've ended up like this in my business. So I don't necessarily know who I am without the gym anymore, because I love it and I've intertwined my life, and everything that I do is about business. So I'm
your
now
business. Sorry, your business is you. It says it in your chest. You know what I mean?
It is me. It's me. But I don't want that to be me. I want my business to be my business, and I need to
separate it from your personal.
Yep. So my next steps is to start doing. So my next step is I'm going to start singing lessons again, because I love singing. And before lockdown, I was doing regular singing lessons, and that is my next. I'm going to reach out to a good vocal coach that I used to work with and start from there.
That's interesting, isn't it?
That's lovely.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's totally flip. It's totally flipped, which is good, which is excellent, because it's not what you do.
I need to. Fitness is my business in life, and it's what I love, but it's no me. And I've only
just you.
It's not just me.
It's part of you.
It's a part of me. But I've made it all of me these last 3 years to grow.
Do you feel like your identity's been lost in some way? Because
that's exactly what it was. Aye, and I've only realised that maybe in the last 2 months that my identity is group exercise, and it's not who I am, but it's, as you say, it's a part of who I am.
Yeah.
So my next steps is to split it apart. So I've got a personal phone now, and I've got a business phone. So that's all split. And now the next is to find things that I love. So I think I want to do sports, but I want to find like a sport that I enjoy to watch.
Yeah.
Whether it's like I used to do gymnastics when I was younger, so I still have a huge interest in that. Rugby, quite like the idea of rugby or swimming. But these are the kind of next few months that I need to, try things. Exploring.
What it is that you like, and the things that you are interested in that you maybe have let lapse or not even tried.
Come and show Doug's with me. We'll go and play bowls.
Good idea. If you come to yoga, I'll come to. We've got that on camera.
But that is true. It's, you get to a stage of life and you do want to try stuff new, but you're scared to take that leap.
Yeah.
I want new pals. How do I do it? I'll go and try a new sport. Because sometimes you've outgrown, not saying outgrown, but
I think you just
things have moved
change. And I think you hold on. I think I've spoke to you about this before, Roz. You do hold on to relationships and friendships that maybe don't have the same meaning.
Yes.
They really don't. The only really common interest that I've had with a lot of my friends these last few years is alcohol and socialising and getting out partying, but that's not really who I am anymore.
No, you're an older, sensible guy now.
Sometimes I like a wee party in there, but no.
No, I think one of the things that's really good to do is to look at friendships and as part of that curiosity in yourself, is because sometimes friendships are seasonal. We've talked about this before, and your circle of friends can evolve, and who you were friends with 10 years ago versus who you're friends with now will be different. And that's okay, and to accept that that's a season in your life. But yeah, we do need to do that, don't we?
I kind of flip. Like yesterday, I was with my doggy pals. Well, careful I say this here. Doggy pals.
I misheard you the other day.
I know, I knew that. I could tell that. It's like that.
Just carry on with what you're saying.
And I've also got my music pals. And then I've got my wife. I mean, I don't have a lot of... I've got 5 people I could phone up and say, I'm in trouble, go and get the gaffer tape in the transit van. I mean, I've got, 5 people. I don't have that great big. Okay, I've got hundreds of people on Facebook, but
everybody does, don't they?
Yeah, but I think at our age, it's okay to have a small group of people that you can.
Honestly, Rose, we've talked about this before. I think the older and wiser you get, and we've talked about, we'll just cut them because I've made that effort, and they don't want to make that effort back. So that's that section cut.
Yeah.
I mean, I disappeared off Facebook, and my doggy pals, 5 of them says, is everything okay? I just wanted a break from social media.
Yeah.
And if I put something on Facebook about my music, how many people react? Or how many people... I'll put a thing on, I was looking for a remix of Late Night Tough Guy. Tune, Kate Bush, blah, blah, blah. And it's the personal messages that came back to me. It says, Paul, I've got this, I'll help you out. And I go, that's people I want to keep in touch with.
Yeah. I think that in life, I think there's people that want to grow and evolve and change and do better for themselves, and there's people that don't. And I think that's what keeps the world spinning, but that's the people that you maybe don't want to be
And that really comes back to where you were when you were 18 years of age. What you've just said there, because you were obviously one of these people that you wanted to evolve.
What can I do for you?
And you didn't go down that path, which would have been an easier route for you to go down the, not bothering and drinking and whatever else came along. You actually made the decision at that very early age.
Yeah.
And it must have been in you for a long time.
Yeah. I think it's innate in people, isn't it? I think you know when you want to do better for yourself and you want to be better. It's interesting.
But unfortunately, sometimes a lot of people want to stamp that out.
Yeah,
you think of the flack that you got for taking the route that you did from people who are supposed to be friends and close to you.
Yep.
It's so easy to give up because everybody else is saying, what do you want to do that for?
You just always think that people around about you who are close to you know best. But actually, you know best.
Go back to the scheme mentality. I mean, I was the people used to take absolute mickey at me. Because you've got a job. I've got a job. Stuff like that. And they were going in the park drinking Monday to Friday. And I was called all sorts of names because
you were doing that.
Because I had a job.
Yep.
I started life as a scaffolder and I've worked hard to where I am, same as yourself. You know what I mean? You don't start at the top, you don't put a shirt and tie on day one at 18.
Yeah.
But you know why people are doing that?
Jealousy?
No.
What?
Fear.
I was just about to say it's a fear.
It's fear-based because they haven't got the courage or the strength to do that. So what they don't know, it's acting out of fear, I couldn't do that. Oh, I'm as well doing this. And fear can stop us in our tracks in so many ways. I don't want to be different. I want to be like everybody else. I want to be the person that goes to the park.
Do you not think sometimes you need that wee bit of fear? Maybe if your colleague here, Kenny, was a wee bit more fearful, he wouldn't have if he was a wee bit fearful of taking on too much with his CrossFit. So you were fearless of it, let's say then.
Yeah.
Fearless of
CrossFit.
If I was fearless of it.
Yep. Maybe you didn't respect it and thought you were doing too much.
I see what you mean. You're sort of saying it's like not having fear sometimes can be a disadvantage rather than an advantage. And if you had a bit of fear about what am I doing to my body, then you might not have
took the leap to actually do CrossFit. Okay.
It's that fine balance of having to jump in with 2 feet.
Yeah.
You know, when you see these people jumping off cliffs and hitting rocks, that's just stupid. But you know what I mean? It's similar to yourself. You know what I mean? You went from 1, 2, 3 to 5, 6 nights a week, and you're probably going, I could get 2 classes done a day.
Yeah. Until
your body says, don't be so stupid.
That's exactly what it done. Rose was the first point, don't be so stupid. And then the body was like, nah, you need to stop now.
So, I mean, we've loved speaking to you today. It's been absolutely fantastic. We ask all our guests who've been on to give us what would be their best piece of advice that they've actually ever been given in life.
Best piece of advice that I've been given? That's an interesting one.
No pressure. No pressure.
No, I genuinely think it's don't let fear stop you from making decisions in your life. I think that's one of the things, because you'll always feel fear at risk of like uncertainty or not knowing what could happen, because we're always conditioned to go to the negative. But there's a 50% chance that it could always go right, and I always believe that it'll always go right. Because I always believe I'll make the right decisions for myself. So don't let fear stop you from taking risks or taking action.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kenny.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great. Thanks very much. And
5 minutes. 5 minutes a day.
5 minutes a day.
Is that 5 days or 7 days?
Well, go 5 days. If you feel you can manage 5 days, go 5.
Once again, Kenny, thanks for popping in. Love it. Cheers.
Thank you.